Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Shaboque. Well, it's still cold outside today, and we got the attic project finished. I didn't get it on film, but I did finish that other floor up there, so everything's good to go there. Anyways, switching projects now, I've got a little update that I want to do to the workshop. It's not going to be in the workshop, but here inside my garage. In the other bay here is where I've had my workshop this entire time. In there, I have a workbench that attached to it is my table saw. This makes a really long table, a little bit too big for my new workshop. So what I want to do is take those two pieces, the workbench and the table saw table, cut those apart and create two brand new workbenches out of it. That way I can have that main workbench inside my shop to do work on, and my table saw I can push away when I'm not using it. Let me take you guys over to the other bay and show you what I got going on. But before we do that, you guys know how it goes. Sit back, relax, grab yourself your favorite cup of cappuccino, maybe a Smooth Moves tea, a Pepsi, and let's get started. All right, guys, this is the workbench right here that I was talking about. I built this a couple of years ago when we first moved in here. The idea was to have both my table saw connected to my workbench so that if I was making any kind of cuts on my table saw, the wood would feed and drop right onto this workbench over here. Problem is, my new workshop, it's not quite as long as my garage bay here. So what I've decided to do, as I said, is cut essentially right here these two tables apart so that I'll have a workbench and then I'll also have this little roll around cart for my table saw. So that's what the goal is. Let's see if we can figure out how to do this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart all of this part over here. I'm going to take off the table saw. I'm going to take the tabletops off. I'm going to try to deconstruct as much of this side as possible. Well, I'm going to pull my saw out here, do a little zip zip, and these two tables will officially be cut apart. I'll end up rebuilding this table saw one later, but for now, we're just going to leave my workbench all by itself. Alright, that is a good stopping point for this project. Let's go ahead and switch gears for a minute. Alright guys, I have a little bit of a side project here at Shaboque. Doesn't mean we're still not going to cause a big shaboque. Anyways, I have a hard drive here that the controller on it went bad about a month ago. And so on this hard drive, I have a lot of shaboque footage that I'd really like to get back. So what I've done is I've ordered a new controller board. And what we're going to do is we're going to swap the two. And that's the easy part. The difficult part is on this board, there's a special little chip there that needs moved from the old board to the new board so that the old hard drive can accept the new controller on it and be able to read the data back off the hard drive again. I have this machine over here that is called a hot air reflow, something like that. And what it is essentially a heat gun that has a really small tip on it to blow hot air out of. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up this very small spot on the board, which I'll show you here in a second, to remove a chip and then swap it to the other board. So anyways, in good shaboque fashion, this should be really interesting. My first time ever doing something like this. I've did soldering before, but never actually used one of these hot air guns. So this should be interesting. Anyways, I'm going to pull the camera in here a little bit closer so you guys can see what I'm working on. See if we can get this thing fixed. Here we go. So I watched a few videos, a couple tutorials, got the gist of the situation here. Could have did a little bit better on having my helping hands out to hold the board here, because these wire cutters really were proving to not be really helpful. As you can see here, it did lift off eventually. Well, now I'm going to quickly skip ahead here where I remove the other one from the other board and then switch back to the old board and go ahead and start the process of reattaching this one to the new board. I'm going to then go ahead and pull out my magnifying glass here and look real closely at the board here to make sure that everything resoldered back down. Looked really good, so decided to go ahead and reinstall it back into the hard drive. There's just a couple of quick screws that go in here, and she's back together, and it's time to give it the old test. Alright guys, so here we go. Got the hard drive, got my external USB hard drive reader. So what should happen is I should plug the drive in here, then over on the screen my file should pop up. So let's see what happens. Right about here my heart skips a beat. The drive didn't spin up, so I quickly turn it off, give it a whiff, make sure nothing's burning, figure I need to reseat it, put it in again, give it another shot, make sure that I had everything nice and snug. So let's see what happens. There they are. We did it. All right. Whew. Now let's get that stuff off the hard drive. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to today's episode of Exceptionally Bad Ideas. Where I left you last was we went ahead and took apart my workshop table, and now it is time to transport it to my workshop. So here's where the bad ideas begin. I have this small little trailer over here that I'm going to take this table and put it on top of somehow, and then I'm going to wheel it all the way around to the back of my property. Problem with that is, as you'll see momentarily, is we still have a bunch of snow and mud and water on the ground. So my ground is exceptionally moist right now. So that adds to the difficulty. I went ahead and put a couple of pieces of 10 out in the worst areas, but right now that's probably the least of my problem. What we're going to attempt to do now is take this table, flip it vertically, and mount it to my trailer right here, as you can see. So why don't you guys sit back? This should be entertaining. All right, first thing that I decided to do was I had this little piece of wood laying around. I was going to screw it around to the perimeter of my bench here and use it as a side that I'm going to put down onto my wagon right there. At least that was the idea. 80-pound bag of concrete as my insurance policy. And with one big heaving lift, there we go. Got her on. No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is not the essence of shaboque, I don't know what is. We're officially loaded up on here. Got her strapped down. She's got a little bit of wiggle to her. But we'll take her nice and easy and let you guys see how it goes. All right, don't go nowhere. All right, nice and easy. Nice and easy. All right, close enough. What do you think? You're watching shaboque, not precision moving. Come on, seriously. So, as I was saying within my unsolicited infomercials, this little gorilla cart, absolutely amazing. I find it useful for literally everything around the property, even moving a workbench table from my garage to my workshop. Such a good little cart. I know that kind of gave it a pretty serious pounding there, and looks like bounces right back into shape. So can't say enough good about this little guy. Anyways, got the workbench in there. I know it feels kind of full in here now, but eventually this is going to not have anything over here, and the bench will have more area to move around. But for now, I'm real happy with how it turned out. I just have one more task to take care of here. This board that I screwed on here in order to be able to put it onto my wagon needed to be taken off, and this project is a wrap. Here's a quick little tour of the current state of the workshop. You can see I got my garden tools right here. Got a little table with my other tools, my clamps, my leaf blower, my miter saw over on the left there, table with all my fasteners, some stuff hung on the wall, and then in the back my wood shelf. And that's where we're at so far. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys all later. But before we do that, why don't you guys sit back, relax, grab yourself your... Why don't you guys sit back, relax, grab your favorite cup of... grab yourself a cappuccino, coffee, maybe some Smooth Moves tea. Take 83.